Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody tuning in all the streams, and we are definitely blessed and moreover thankful for this time and our granted. And thank you so much as you are tuning in from where you are coming from, welcoming all confidence all over the country and in the diaspora. It is a privilege, and moreover, we're thankful for the emergence of a leadership that's coming up, and we are really thankful for having the love and the heart for our people, and having to stand to enforce leadership that is modest, leadership that is honest, and with humility. It is such a privilege, and we believe that it's an honor. It's done by grace. For he's the one who sets precedents and he sets kings to be kings. And he's the one also who removes kings or presidents as follows. Greetings to all confidants of the government of EcoForum all over South Africa and the diaspora. And a heartfelt greetings to all our fathers and local men and women throughout this beautiful republic, whom most of them pledged their single-lived lives for transformation and economic emancipation, but yet forgotten. Salutations are in order to the royal houses, the church, whom basically are the founders of the true liberation movement in Africa, particularly South Africa since the 1800s, but yet they are forgotten. A hopeful greetings to all our young people all over South Africa, whom were to be beneficiaries of a bloodshed 1976 uprising, but yet subjected. It is indeed a sad story to tell in the so-called democratic dispensation where we are experiencing such an injustice, a degradation, a regression of humankind ever, which also it is aligned to be pandemic. The government of EcoForum has taken a resolution to discard sad and barbaric politics and infuse the great news bringing development for the people of South Africa. We then adopted the Growth Plan of Action, the GPA 2100, as a centenary document or a white paper guiding our narrative, our intention, our mission, and our vision. The GPA 2100 is dedicated to all South Africans, our elders, for post-employment benefits, our youth, for youth economy and employability, and to the royal houses, we dedicate this growth plan of action for land and culture. And we dedicate the GPA 2100 as our growth plan of action to the churches for spirituality, for faith, for leadership and governance. We dedicate GPA 2100 to people who are able differently for inclusive economy. And we dedicate the GPA 2100 to our local development. The great news is that the government of EcoForum is unapologetically and unreservedly indispensable and incorruptibly committed to serve the people of South Africa through the following departmental pillars. The number one pillar is human development, where as a government will be dealing with skills development, looking at our history in South Africa, even in the past apartheid regime. The people of South Africa, mainly the male and the female, were people or still are people of skill. And when the mainstream integration of a new dispensation had come, we saw an unfortunate kind of a transition where manufacturing was moreover given to others. It was taken out of our local areas. Factories were closed, and factories therefore were dilapidated. And hundreds of our parents and hundreds of our uncles and aunties lost their jobs. And these are people who are skillful by manner of production in those factories, in all the factories that we can name in Babelegi, in Swani, also in the Eastern Cape, Dimbaza, and in Gangastria, and also in the KZN area. And when all those factories were closed, bread was taken away from the mouth of the children. The economy of our locality was tempered. And then we begin to now give what used to be an injection to local economy to an extent of force and factor. Now, the GPA 2100 is also dedicated to local development so that we can begin to develop human development through skills by upskilling those who were skillful without documentation, those who were, for example, plumbers who could absolutely do the work, but they had no documentation, and hence they're out of work because they cannot produce any documentation on the standard system. Some of them can't produce any documentation even to the current requirements that are done by our current administrators. So the government of EcoForum will be moreover running on human development and skillfully so upskilling the people and reskilling them in order to bring accuracy and alignment to what needs to be done in terms of reconstructing South Africa to become a participant to the global economy. Now, through human development, we also shall promote equity-based society. We also shall promote human capital, where we permissiate and allow local men and local women in the form of societal covenants and groups to begin to now build its economy. If one can remember where we were raised, and remember in how we were raised, that these human capitalistic approaches where it still are meaning a force that empowers our locations and townships, where it permits one, even those who have not, to be part of the community, contributing a little together. But at the end of the day, being able to build a great deal of opportunities and developments and establishments that are to be built in their households. Human capital will also be enforced by this government for ordinary people to start converging and in beginning to strategize in how they can begin to now localize their banking systems. that money can circulate among our people and for our people. Our banks have been kept shut for a long time and are serving a certain narrative than serving the people of this nation. So human capital will be the force that will stand against capitalistic mentalities or capitalism, and it will much be moreover usher the people of South Africa, local men and women, laymen on the street to partake on the economy, and moreover to be part of the economic growth or the financial sector. Some of them even having the opportunity to become shareholders as to build our local economy. In building human development, we also shall look at education. We're looking at education as a dual education system to make an assurance that practicality and mostly theory are therefore being blended together to make sure that we impart an education that is aligned to our economy, an education that speaks to our economy locally and nationally, and also aligning to the global economies, so that we are able to can build our GDP through production that it is moreover participated by its people. So education is one of the key forces that I believe that through human development, when one is being developed accordingly, they will be moreover stationed and moreover aligned to build their own economy accordingly because of the knowledge that is being adhered. And training will be one of those that will be moreover enforced by this government to make sure that people are trained in every location, in every rural area. Because when one gets training, they get understanding of what to do. They get the excellence of producing that needs to be done. The other thing through human development is profiling, to make sure that we profile our people accordingly, to make sure that we profile our leaders accordingly. For example, in the church, if you look at the body of the church, we've got most who are being in the house of the Lord serving for many years, some of them 40-something to 30-something years, 30 to 40-something years, but most of them without documentation. Hence, the government and also the external governments are penetrating our realms. Externally, they are coming in, and in order as they are fighting even against faith, they also are demising the education, or which is the Christian education, that is therefore was the inception and moreover the foundry of the veritas or the universities that are out there. So we understand that all universities were moreover aligned and built by the church, but today the church is being demised and being set aside. But for saying that least is that profiling will assist us to begin to now put together a portfolio of evidence for leaders in order to operate in churches and be able to serve through accountability, excellence, and accuracy. The second pillar of development that we have adopted is community development. Community development would be moreover enforced in various ways. Number one would be asset-based community. In our recent time, we are having a community, even after our forebears have actually fought and some lost their lives. We are having an unequal society. where people don't even own. They don't even own spoons. They don't even own the land which they have built on. They don't own their houses. They own nothing, because everything is owned by the bank, by the government. It's owned by the minority. And that for that reason, that doesn't actually give our people a peace and moreover prosperity in the very land of their fathers. So an asset-based community development is key, that people are built to be asset-driven so that they are able to can build for their generations coming. Imagine a case where a father had to pass and a mother, and children are being left. They are left in an RDP house, which is not yet being assigned to them in terms of their name being also a title deed being given to them. So it tells you that these children can be over tomorrow becoming, meaning over, be connected to thuggery. And crime could even rise because they will be forced to live in the streets. So an asset-based community development is key, and the government of Ecoforum shall enforce. And we also shall enforce under community development a faith-based community development. South Africa is a country of people that believes, whether they believe in what, but they believe. A faith-based community development where people are being taken back to a place, and moreover, where people are being ushered back to their roots, where we are brought to believe, and that's where Ubuntu will definitely manifest. That's where a soul of a person will absolutely be valuable. We also will be dealing with community economic development to make sure that our communities are functional and they are able, like we did in the last 30 years, in the last 40 years, where the people of this country are the ones that are running the economy of our localities. Township economy being on their shoulders, whether it's a shop, a spaza shop, whether it's been selling accessories on the road, whether water on the road, whether it would be cutting grass, whether it would be selling inners of chickens, whether it will be any other. But they ran the economy fruitfully and raised men and women and leaders such as myself and some of you who are actually now listening and watching. That is the community economic development. We also want to look at the sustainable development that will be long-term, in order to make an assurance that our people, even as they are in their cities or in rural areas, in townships, in suburbs and urbans, would be able to know that they will see a sustainability, and they'll be encouraged, most of them, to be educated and to be trained accordingly in order to be part of the rebuild of the economy of our localities. The number 3 pillar that we have adopted is social development. Social development through social justice and all the ill-stricken activities we see in our communities, in our families, and every injustice that we have actually stood for. The time is come, the time is now that we are to spearhead and moreover counter such and deal with all the injustices in our localities, and make an assurance that we become the police and we become the concords, and we become them that will stand as fathers and mothers and brothers and sisters and uncles and aunties, like in the old times, where old people are able to talk to a young person. When a young person is went astray, would be put and meaning moreover booked accordingly. We're not enforcing any corporal punishment. We are enforcing whereby elderly people will be able to put children down, as it is indicated, I mean, in the word of God, that they have a prerogative. Because remember, the government doesn't have a prerogative when it comes to the leadership of the household. Them is for to lead the administration of the communities, not of the household. The household must be given to families. Parents have the right to stand and begin to now put their children to order accordingly. We also shall deal with social development through sports and recreation. Times when we used to have grounds where young men would be playing soccer, grounds where young women would be playing netball, table tennis, and other. We no longer do have. Hence, even as we approach the Olympics and approach other and the Paralympics, we seem to be feebled and we look so skeleton that we don't have manpower, we don't have young people that are trained accordingly by these institutions. And I declare that the government of Ecoforum will take it in their hands all over the country, identifying the young men and women that will come out to stand and give pride to their nation in regard of sports. But that will also begin in their localities where soccer will be reactivated, where tennis will be reactivated in the Eastern Cape, where table tennis will be reactivated in Mafike, where soccer in Soweto will be reactivated also in the rural areas of Venda, where young men will be appointed and moreover scouted to stand for the nation and then becoming part of the economic growth. And moreover, we understand that sports and recreation, it is moreover one of the rods that are used in order to discipline our children when they are actually not disciplined in sport and they are committed to sport and art. And art and culture is part of sport, but also it will release them in terms of their gifts and talents and showcase that we bring also programs that will rise them in their communities accordingly. And young men and young women will be identified in order to say, we understand that our Brenda Fassis and our Rebecca Malopis did not just arrive in the city. They were identified, they were scouted. We have such also in our countries. In the rural areas of KZN, there is a Brenda Fassis that will come in the 21st century. There is a Rebecca Malupi that will emerge. So we need to come forth and support such initiatives accordingly. Infrastructure in our communities is moreover, as we said, a sad story to be told. When you enter in Alexandra Township, where a budget was being put on the table, billions, you find that now the works are not even done. People have enriched themselves and our people are still staying in some decayed sheds where water and sewer is passing by the door. And children are dying because of the toilet systems that are still used. And we are seeing our people die because of the pipe system that is still now being erected, and all those dungeons are left open because of lack of service delivery. We have lost so many young people that will fall into the ditch because they have actually not have known that them playing there childishly will cause them to actually lose their lives. A child in Hamaskral in Makapanstad, where their streets are actually now having hollowed, and moreover they are having dungeons. When water of rain comes, most of them are being swept by the water as they are there trying to swim because of the amount of water in the ditch. In a case where our children Some of them are dying because of being electrified by izinyoka in the households because of lack of infrastructure, in allocations, and in that reason that gives absolutely, it runs to them and gives them, most of them, they even die because trying to connect. Now, infrastructure now becomes the most important thing in our communities. That will absolutely build what we call a smart city or location, and whereby we are able to can know who comes into our locations and who's coming out. We are making an assurance that our locations are with safety, and moreover, they are actually at guard day in and day out. When the infrastructure is being put well, we will definitely have the structure of all communities now functional. We also will enforce household municipal in some rural areas. When one family has a borehole, which they can moreover be endorsed by the municipal to run that borehole, and we also would absolutely assist with the machinery and the equipment to align them so they can serve 1,000 houses that are around them. And that only takes us to identify households that has boreholes in order to run a household municipal. And we'll also enforce a non-violent direct action where fathers becomes police of the communities and uncles, and mothers also become police of their households. We will also enforce social capital formation to make sure that what we are talking about is being put together through a community trust that would absolutely now begin to be utilized in that particular community, and every community in South Africa through the government of EcoForum would have a community trust in order to run their communities accordingly and make sure that they take care of things, whether in times of emergency, where it's needed, that they will absolutely pop even the money to take care of families and to take care of individuals in those communities. Now, we also have adopted the fourth pillar, which is economic development. And through economic development, we are looking at household economy, and to make an assurance that we are not going to talk big words and talk big amounts and talk about trillions and billions above the heads of ordinary people. Those billions, and also the fall of the rent or the increase of the rent might not actually torment our people because they don't actually have the economy. It might actually now begin to attempt of those that are rich in our country, but to those that are still struggling, they might not be affected by the uprise or the downfall of the rent. So rent diplomacy does not equate to those who are in the locality because they don't have the economy. But if we can concentrate on household economy and make sure that they have revenue that comes and they are able to feed their children, we believe and trust that household economy will become the order, of our localities, where fathers can provide, mothers can provide, single mothers can also provide, and also house led by children. Those children can also provide when they are aligned with employability or job employment, or even moreover being brought to an understanding of starting their own businesses. So household economy is the key in order to rise a township economy. And we're looking at the rural economy. When you look at the rural people, who were the people that have actually given their forefathers and birds have given lives. They have actually now, the likes of Nelson Mandela, as a father of the nation in the Eastern Cape, they have actually now put their lives online and shed blood so that their children and their children's children can have a better life. So as long as we have named it rural, we also need to come back and give it in an economy. And we need to actually begin to now reform, because it was called rural and left as well in the apartheid system. But as the government of Eco Forum, we are standing to champion rural economy. And how so is to look at the abilities that are in the rural areas. Those are agricultural places or zones where agriculture can be enforced. Family agriculture can be reformed. Pastoralization can be reformed. Where we would be able, instead of getting our food from Brazil, instead of getting our food and the other from China, we are now going to be able to connect and now get our food right in South Africa, manufactured by our people and by the people of this nation, in order to increase our GDP accordingly, and that will affect our, moreover, our macroeconomy as much as our local and our microeconomy has been affected. We also want to look at townships economy, where we see factories, and moreover, we see that township economy was the vehicle of the apartheid economy, when they absolutely now begin to endorse Bantu systems. Now the Bantu systems were moreover the vehicle of the economy that they used in the apartheid system. We need to go back and begin to now reform ourselves and see what we have, which are factories around us, and most of the factories are dilapidated. Most of those factories are on no good condition, because they are being neglected, they are being left out because of some alliances that were made with China. And we need to stand against this China debt, moreover debt diplomacy that they've put even upon our country. That now we see even the current administration putting themselves into being compelled and arrested. And we can call it a capture, whereby all our factories are closed, from Hammanskraal to Eastern Cape and to Nkangastria, Nkangala, and moreover to KZN, and going along to places such as Makapanstad. We had Wombath, and other places, Spankop, where factories were moreover blowing out the smoke. And I can tell you that communities were employed, and hundreds of parents and those who were guardians had something to put on the table. It is time that we revitalize those parks and those industries in order to begin to revitalize manufacturing and production in our country, and which is done by our people. For charity begins at home. Before you can build anything anywhere else, charity begins at home. So township economy will only be done and can only be done if we only can just begin to now restore the dignity of our people by restoring and reforming and over revitalizing those industries, and bring local investment where people will be able to now sew their own socks and their own clothes and shoes. And they can overlock and do all of those work. They do it. Our people are capable. They have the skill. Whether it's in the times of the fourth industrial revolution, shall they be moreover educated through upskilling. And through upskilling, they will understand how to run the machinery. Now, for this is a great new speech. Since 2019, after the national general elections, The government of EcoForum partnered with many communities through food security, especially amid the pandemic. Open quote, for one does not need election to change lives, but needs a community to win elections, close quote. Open quote, freedom is never about who we follow or which candidate or political party we throw our hopes on. It's about what we decide to do for ourselves and for others. In preparation to 2021 local government elections, many South Africans found a kingdom political home at EcoForum, and they aligned with our narrative of a God-based government, which sounds foolish to the world because of their current systems at hand. Hence, we say, South Africa, back to God. Especially in the country of the church hymn, Nkosi Sikeleli Africa, which later became an act of political defiance against the apartheid regime, which to date became our national anthem. But it seems like the leadership has forgotten where we are coming from. Unfortunately, apartheid has no race, but it's a system. Our current status quo, which is mostly to be changed, signals elements and tenets of a regime with a tendency to degrade and regress and segregate the people by the use of external bodies in the name of immunity and healthcare, knowing exactly that it is a process of formation of a new order. A record must be set straight to the current regime that the existing political parties in parliament, whom after being elected in by its people, place politics on people's lives and also on the loss of lives. A regime that has made scientists, close quote, to think outside the box, close quote, open quote, close quote. Doctors who have spent several years studying have become dormant and loyalists of the regime. Instead of saving lives, they are not able and capable, but they are loyal to the regime. Lawyers whom were the representatives of the people through human rights law pertaining the rights are now tightening and using the same law to subject its people towards the regime. Hospitals which exist as other community health care and to offer community health care are now allegedly become a death sentence because of the so-called regime. Firstly, no one seemed to know about the disease and also knowing about its origin. But suddenly, governments are now experts and executing their expertise. Ministers and presidents are now experts and executing their expertise with arrogance and a dictator approach, using a totalitarianism kind of an authoritarian approach in order to subject its people. Now they are calling all shots, releasing diabolic and illicit statements of mandatory over its people to the extent of permitting an experimental inoculation on its population, including the most needed to be protected, our babies. No one says nothing about the matter. It was put on the news of the side effects even of the current vaccine that is now being run and permitted in our country to be inoculated over our children. Because of being censored, threatened, and possibly some are even terminated, people are afraid to take leadership and taking leadership on behalf of our people. Now, this brings us to a time when this nation used to rally after an injury to one, an injury to all. Now, as the government of the Forum, we are taking to all nations, and the nation of South Africa in particular, hashtag no to experimental vaccine. Hashtag nothing in the body without my consent. Hashtag no with my body. Hashtag vaccine exemption. We are speaking for the silent majority. This reminds us of a time when our liberationals, strugglers, and also those who stood as the forebears were fighting against a system of apartheid, and they had to take the news to the external and moreover the global community, and they got the support. And nobody censored them. Nobody has shut them down. Yes, they were terminated. Yes, they were brought down because of a regime. And we were hoping that even the current administration, because of the experience, they will be brought to the realization of a regime and begin to stand as Africans and African leaders, standing for their people, not just politicking and moreover running a program that which in the end, even our people are being subjected to death because we don't even know where the sickness is originated. Now, how do you inoculate your people when there are so many things happening all over the world? When even the media that we trust to bring about the information and tell the people in order for them to make an informed decision are not doing it. Now, can we say millions of people in the world are actually now insane in however they have actually now moreover have tested what we are talking about scientifically and clinically, which is not a conspiracy theory. Now, the government of EcoForum is speaking on behalf of the silent majority of the workers of this nation. When the time comes when you are a worker and employee, you'll be subjected to inoculate or vaccinate. And if you are not, you have lost your job, or shall you resign or be retrenched. It's happening in our sister country in Zimbabwe. And presidents are finding it more appealing to share such a diabolic mandatory against its people. And we are standing and moreover to say it shall not happen in South Africa that the workers of this nation be subjected to any mandate, that anyone will have a prerogative to make a decision for whether they want to be inoculated or not. And they will do it through advisory processes. And we are standing as the government of EcoForum, moreover, to say to the current administrators, they need to reform whatsoever policy that is there that they want to actually manifest, because if that is not the case, they would absolutely not meet with anybody but the people of South Africa. These are the same people that stood and combated apartheid regime. These are the same men and women that stood against bullets, and they stood against in all tactics to make sure that there is liberation in this nation. These are the same fearful people that will be able to stand through prayer and praying for the presidents and praying for anybody and making sure that they cry to their God. And when they say Nkosikeleli Africa, their God will hear them and come down and fight for them. Now, the great news as the speech of the president. No one has ever fought our maker, the creator of the universe, the God who knows no religion, the God who knows no color, the God who knows no ethnicity. No one will fight him and win the battle. The government of Ecoforum, after a thorough scrutiny and scientific and clinical procedures, through all alleged conspiracy theories and current news, have come to a conclusion that the COVID-19 experimental vaccine is not safe for our people, for Africans are known for saving lives, which is part of Ubuntu. Injury to one used to be injury to all. Today, the announcement of mortality and morbidity is statistically and without remorse being outlined on media. It's about time for local men and women to choose its leadership from the local government levels. The government of Ecoforum has taken a resolution to stand and contest in the coming local government elections taking place on the 1st of November 2021. We encourage all confidence and the people of South Africa to register to vote on the 18th and the 19th of September 2021. Most especially the body of Christ, the church, to go register in many numbers for a total transformation in South Africa. The truth be told, firstly, the church has been inactive to the politics of these nations for a long time, and now is the time for the church to take its rightful stand and lead. Secondly, the royal house has also been neglected and demised for years without proper recognition. As landowners, hence, everyone is taking land and talking about land. Some they are even taking to an extension of making it to become their own manifesto, while the people of the land are being put to silence. Now is the time for the royal authority to be restored to its functionality, to the original core of the kingdom. The government of Ecoforum will be contesting at least in plus minus 20 municipalities, which amounts to a plus minus 1,000 wards, and a possible takeover of some wards in South Africa for a God-based government of the people. I would like to invite all church leaders, kings and queens, prince and princess, young professionals, business personalities, community leaders, to partner with the government of Ecoforum for economic emancipation in a national initiative to an equity-based society with an exclusive economy built from our local township economy. For example, revitalize, as we said, factories for manufacturing for our clothes, socks, furniture, and moreover food, and also our machinery. I'm inviting all communities, leaders with passion and compassion, to lead their communities through modesty, honesty, and humility. If you are a leader and listening, and you are a leader, you are here, we are standing to disclose that fear shall not be the encounterment. Come out from the ditch and the dungeon. You need to take up your words and take up and begin to giggle yourself. Put your armor as the soldiers of the kingdom, the soldiers of the people, and make sure that we absolutely infiltrate the whole South Africa in every voting stations, in 23,000 voting stations and 4,468 wards in South Africa. That we have emerald candidates that are godly stems and are able to declare and moreover announce God in a nation. The great news We are giving back to the government and which are the people, whom are the real government of South Africa. We are giving power back to them. But also we are giving power back to God, who is the Almighty. Because when power is granted and given to the people with no regard to the God who is the creator of heaven and earth, they use the same power against each other. The comrades have become gangsters. Comrades have become dictators. There's killings even prior to the local government elections. We are speaking silence in every ward in South Africa. There shall not be any killing. We suspend every mind and every plan that the devil has made in every ward. There shall not be any killing. We are declaring it. We are enforcing it with power to say the God of heaven will open the heavens. Every leader that is standing out there in our communities will respect others who are also going to stand. Whether they are standing oppositional, they will respect them. And we are standing right now to nullify every blood sucking, every spirit that sucks blood when it comes to the elections. We close that altar, we destroy it, and we are speaking that now we are standing in no fear to say now no one shall be killed again. That anybody found with a sword that is full of blood will be facing the law and moreover the hand of the law mightily. And we are standing to put the fear on the hearts of the people in order to respect leadership that will emerge and others that are coming out in other political parties. We are calling to calm, to say every unrest we see in our country shall come to calm, because things will not come to calm until God is recognized in this nation. Now the government of EcoForum is standing to say, let it be that the government is being given back to its people, whom are the real government. And we are taking the power back to God. And we are saying South Africa must go back to God. And I stand to declare and say to all of you, Amen, hallelujah, Amen, hallelujah, Amen, hallelujah. We have been declaring Amandla away to and taking the same power and kill our own countermate and kill our own brothers and begin to now deceive our own brothers or corrupt our own municipalities or corrupt our own nation or corrupt our own sectors. Now we have done it with the same power of Amandla away to. We are turning things around. We are now actually permitting the reforms in this nation. We're saying, Amen, hallelujah. And the whole nation shall be sparked with the torch of the government of EcoForum. The whole nation shall be caught up with the fire of EcoForum, and everybody, and from the sucklings to the infants, will be howling and will be shouting, Amen, hallelujah. Meaning, we are taking the power back to God. This is great news, and that will supersede every barbaric gangsterism approach that we have seen in the last 20-something years. And for that reason, we are declaring today, these are the great news. We are declaring campaign development 2021 and 2024. It is underway. We are localizing South Africa. We say hashtag, we're taking every heart. Hashtag local as lekker. We mean localizing South Africa. We are meaning to make sure that we align the economies of our nation back to its owners, back to the local men and the local women. So campaign development 2021-2024 is underway, and on the 1st of November, we will be contesting in South Africa. And moreover, we are looking at taking the metros, especially the Tshwane, and making sure that we absolutely now bring on board an exemplary example of every word that has been uttered. The government of EcoForum is determined, and we are moreover committed to local development. And we want to say to all comrades all over South Africa, be stationed and be geared up, be prepared. Wherever you go, paint this nation with the red blood of Christ and with the golden, meaning moreover, a wealth of this country, and moreover with the royalty and the royal priesthood of his kingdom. And we are saying, may the reforms begin. The government of the people is here, and all of you that are out there, welcome, and I welcome you all into partnership. And I'm holding a hand with all of you, local men and local women, pastors, business personalities, chiefs, and also prince and kings, into partnership. There's nothing you can do in a locality if you are not partnering with the local men and local women. So to bless you all and say, God bless EcoForum and God bless South Africa. I thank you.